Hi, my name is Cash and you're watching Cashed Out Cars. In today's video, we're going to be doing an oil change on the Suzuki DR350 SE. Now, this is going to be pretty much the same process for any DR350 or DR350 SE. In this video, we're going to go through a full oil change, which includes a filter replacement, draining and refilling up your oil, including the dry sump tank and the motor oil, and also checking the screen filter that is inside the dry sump tank. So this is going to be the full process. Let's get to it. The first thing to do here is to remove the skid plate. Now you only need to remove that skid plate if you're going to do an absolutely complete oil change, which means draining the engine oil, draining the frame oil from your dry sump tank there, and also going ahead and getting out the screen filter that's inside the engine. So if you plan on doing all that, remove your skid plate. If you don't, you could skip it because you could access the drain plug in the bottom without taking that plate off, and you could also access this drain plug without taking that off. And the oil filter is in here. The ones on the side are a 13 millimeter and the ones on the front are a 12 millimeter. Next, you could go ahead and remove the oil drain plug that is underneath the bike. This is a 17 millimeter socket. What I did is I took my skid plate off and then pressure washed underneath the bike, and I pressure washed the skid plate. And now we could go ahead and crack that loose and get something ready underneath it to catch our oil. Then you could go ahead and loosen it up and press up towards the bike. You can see oil starting to come out just a little bit. Now we're at the end and you can just pull it out of the way just like that. It is a good idea to wear gloves, but if you're good at it, you don't have to wear gloves and you won't get oil everywhere. Let that all drain out here. Now, one thing to look for is gas in your oil. If it looks like your oil has been thinned and that there are two parts that aren't mixing, you probably have gas in your oil. And it's a good thing you're changing it now, but you also should look at replacing your vacuum petcock if you still have that on your bike, because those fail, and then fill up your oil with gas. Next, we could go ahead and drain the oil out of the in-frame tank. You could do that by removing this 12 millimeter bolt right here. Next, we could go ahead and remove the side cover that will expose the oil filter here. And this is held on by 3 8mm fasteners. Watch your hand on the hot exhaust there. Once again, also have your oil drain pan underneath there, because as soon as you start to take this housing off, oil will start to flow out. Now we could go ahead and remove our old filter and replace it with a new one. This thing just simply presses over the spring here, so the spring sits like that. You put the filter on and then you're good to go. You tighten the housing back down. Now we could go ahead and tighten these back down. Do them all evenly. And don't go too tight, because you do not want to strip any of those fasteners out, and they're not very big. Next, if you are going ahead and checking the screen filter that is between the frame tank and the actual engine, you have to remove the oil line that runs there. So to do that, you have to remove this hose clamp there, and then you could slide the line out of place, and then you'll be able to pull your filter, which I'll show you in a sec. Alright, that's loose. Then you could go ahead and pull that line off just like that. Then you could turn that filter out of the frame. We do have a little bit of gunk on this filter. Here you can see the stuff that's built up on this filter. Most of it looks like a gasket sealer that somebody put on here, like an instant sort of gasket, and it's not really metal chips, so that's good. That's what you want to see. If you do have any major metal chips, then you should start being concerned, but since I don't have any, we're good to clean this thing and put it back in, and then go ahead and put the bike back together and fill it up with oil. Now we could go ahead and get that back in place once it's all clean. Alright, that's snugged up. Next, you could put this oil line back on. You do want to be very careful to not get any dirt and debris into your oil when you put this line on. Once it's all the way on there, you could go ahead and retighten down your hose clamp. Next, you could go ahead and put both of your drain plugs back in. It is a good idea to replace the crush washer that's on these to prevent leaks. Next, you could go ahead and pull a dipstick and fill cap. This is located on top of the dry sump tank on the frame, right in front of the gas tank. It's not a bad idea to remove this before you start doing all of this so air could flow in too. Now you could go ahead and fill up your bike with oil. This bike calls for 10W40 oil, and you need to make sure that it doesn't have a friction modifier or that it is made specifically for bikes, so that way you don't wear out your clutch, since they're wet clutch systems and they use the same oil that the engine does. This bike should take about 1.8 to 2 liters or so. So I'm going to go ahead and put in about 1,600 milliliters, run the thing for a little bit, and then see where we're at and fill up accordingly. Now you want to go ahead and start up the bike and let it warm up. People recommend about 3 minutes for this, and then once it's all warm, level up the bike and check the oil level and fill up until you're at a good level on the dipstick. First kick, that carb is good now. You'll want your oil level between the L and the F here, preferably closer to the F, but don't overfill it because then you risk leaks. That is going to wrap up this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it helped you out. Please like this video if it did help you. Comment any questions or concerns that you might have below, and subscribe for more. I hope you stick around for the next one.